Hello to you. I'm Fox 26 meteorologist Ramisha Shade. It's time to talk about a little weather and weather that could be dangerous for your evening and nighttime plans. For that reason, we have a Fox 26 storm alert day in effect, and that's going to stick around through early Friday. What are we talking about? Well, we've got the potential for rounds of very heavy rain that could lead to some flooding, large hail, maybe around golf ball size or larger, strong, potentially damaging wind gusts, maybe up to 70 to 75 miles per hour, and something that's kind of scary. Yes, there could be a few tornadoes. In fact, we are under a tornado watch until 10 p.m. Now, it doesn't include Jackson, Matagorda, or Calhoun counties down to the south and west of Houston, but it does include the rest of the area. And we are already getting these storms firing up. No tornado warnings just yet, but we do have the majority of the area under a tornado watch until 10 p.m. That means conditions are favorable for the development of these severe storms that could start to develop stronger rotation and maybe produce a brief tornado. So that is a dangerous situation. Of course, you need to think about where you would go and what you would do. Make sure you have a plan of action in place before you go under a tornado warning. Try to get to the lowest level in the most interior part of whatever building you're located in, or if you're in your house, try to get to an interior hallway, interior bathroom, interior closet. Get to the lowest level, stay away from those windows, and just try to put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Fortunately, no tornado warnings at this point, but as I said, we already have these showers and storms developing on radar. We've been monitoring a couple of areas of potential rotation, one right around the Bryan College Station area. Our Fox Red radar was picking up a little rotation here. We're looking inside the storm at the storm winds. That rotation not quite as strong at this point. We did have a little cone showing up indicating that rotation, but we will monitor that area. We had another area of little rotation showing up off to the east and northeast of Bryan and College Station. But this area at this point, not strong enough to be considered strong enough to issue a tornado warning. So that is some good news, but definitely some strong storms rolling across the Bryan College Station area and to the north of Navasota. So this storm around Bryan College Station should reach the Curtin area in about the next 15 to 20 minutes, or at least the eastern portions as it tracks to the north and east. So heavy rain, lightning with that, but we were monitoring that potential for that possible rotation. So you can see in reflectivity mode, a couple of strong storms brewing right around Bryan College Station. The yellows, the reds indicating some very heavy rainfall coming down in these storms. Also, we've got quite a bit of lightning, over 100 lightning strikes showing up. We've got the strongest part of this storm right around the Bryan College Station area with this cell, but then we've got this other cell to the west of that one heading towards Bryan College Station. So the worst part of that one should reach Bryan in about 5 minutes and Wren Valley in about 10 to 11 minutes. So we are going to have the potential for winds around 40, 45, possibly 50 miles per hour. We're monitoring for that risk for a little rotation in these, where we could have a brief tornado, and also the potential for that lightning, over 100 lightning strikes showing up at this point. Also, the hail in this, not expected to be extremely large, but we could have some hail around 3/4 of an inch. That would be right around penny-sized hail in these storms. So these storms at this point are north of the Navasota area, but they are starting to push into Huntsville. So if you are in Huntsville, prepare for the weather to go downhill. Huntsville down to New Waverly. Very heavy rain coming down right now, and we do have a special weather statement for this storm indicating that it is a strong storm, not quite up to severe levels, but the threat for some very heavy rain, that small hail, and maybe some 40 to 45 mile per hour wind gusts, and even a little rotation possible in a few of those storms. Also, there's another stronger storm trying to get going just to the east of Katy, south of Cypress. This one is tracking off to the northeast. So actually, I'm going to step off and see if I can get a track on this for you, because this one is going to push over some more highly populated areas. So I do want to give you more details as far as where this one is headed. So we are going to try to get that track on here for you and let you know where this one is going. So once again, this is very close to I-10, and it is east of Katy, getting very close to Jersey Village and also Willowbrook. So here is the track for this. It is moving off to the north and east. It's got about a 20% chance for severe hail, but a 90% chance for just hail that would be sub-severe. So right now, our Fox Radar radar picking up the fact that we've got hail in this storm, likely around 3/4 of an inch. So that would be around penny-sized hail, and that is going to be getting very close to Jersey Village. Should reach Jersey Village in about 7 minutes. So we are tracking this closely over towards the Charterwood area in about 14 minutes. And it should reach Bush Intercontinental Airport in the next 20 to 25 minutes. And Spring, it should reach you in about 24 minutes. So this storm is not severe right now, but it is dumping some heavy rain. It's tracking to the north and east. It's going to be moving over some very highly populated areas, and it does have the potential for hail now that is going to be close to 1 inch. So that would be close to quarter-size hail, likely penny-size hail right now. Very heavy rain and maybe some 40 to 45-mile-per-hour wind gusts. So this is the storm that will get closest to Houston at this point. It should pass to the west and northwest of the downtown Houston area, but it is close to Katy now. And as I mentioned, it is going to roll over parts of Cypress, Willowbrook, Jersey Village, Spring, and eventually the Woodlands if it holds together. So just make sure to stay alert. We are all under that tornado watch around the Houston area. Like I said, it does exclude the Matagorda, Jackson County area south and west of Houston, but everyone else dealing with this tornado watch. So I'm actually going to turn these off and take you back up north where we have a ton of rain coming down. So I want to show you all of this heavy rain stretching from College Station up towards Madisonville, Huntsville, Trinity, Willis, Cleveland, Shepherd, Livingston. Now these are areas that have picked up so much rain over recent weeks, 10 to 20 plus inches of rain. We've had numerous issues with flooding, especially around Livingston, and now we've got more batches of super heavy rain coming in. Some of these rainfall rates and some of these storms could be around 1 to 2 inches per hour. So if you are in Huntsville, if you're in Livingston, certainly you need to be preparing for that flood threat to really start to increase this evening into tonight. We have quite a bit of rain that we are expecting to push into the area, and we will continue to see these waves of rain building in. Here's a live view of what's happening just outside of our Fox 26 studios. We did have rain coming down at a pretty good clip not long ago. It looks like most of that is pushed out, but just anticipate more rounds, more waves of rain as we go through the next several hours, and we are going to have that threat for maybe a few of the storms that roll through to pulse up and become severe. It is warm, it is humid out there. We've definitely got the heat and humidity to help fuel these storms. Temperatures in the 80s in Houston right now, plenty of humidity. And yes, we do have a high chance not only for severe thunderstorms, but for flooding as well. So speaking of the flood threat, I want to show you the flood watch that does continue through 7 a.m. Friday for areas near Interstate 10 and especially north of Interstate 10. So of course that includes all of the greater Houston area up towards the Atascocita, the Woodlands, Conroe, Huntsville, and over into Liberty County. It doesn't include you in Galveston or Angleton, but farther north, farther inland, we do have that high risk for that heavy rain that could lead to more flooding. In fact, we're talking about anywhere from 1 to 4 inches likely for much of the area, but there will definitely be the chance for some isolated 5, 6, 7+ inch totals, especially up around Huntsville and Livingston. Also, tornado risk has been bumped up to the medium category. That's why we have that tornado watch. I don't anticipate a big tornado outbreak, but 1 or 2 of these storms could briefly start to spin and develop rotation strong enough to put out a brief tornado across the area. So we are monitoring that threat as well. Strong winds in excess of 60 miles per hour possible in some of these storms, a medium chance for that. And yes, there could be severe hail, maybe around quarter size to golf ball size, hopefully not up to baseball size, but definitely 1 to 2 inch hail, a possibility in some of these storms. So the biggest risk, the window for this severe weather, basically between now and Friday morning. I think that's when we get the worst of the weather, especially the flood threat. I think the tornado threat will end before Friday morning, but we will definitely still have the flood threat lingering through Friday morning. This is a look at our excessive rainfall outlook, or our flash flood risk map, and you see a ton of colors on here, and it is not often that you see that purple color, which indicates a high 4 out of 4 risk for flash flooding for our area. It's been quite a while since we've had that showing up. Houston in that 2 out of 4 slight risk, a 15% shot for flooding. Woodlands in the 40% range for that street flooding. But notice as I zoom in, Huntsville, Trinity, Livingston, Shepherd, Cleveland in a high 4 out of 4 risk for flash flooding through this evening and tonight. So these are the areas that are getting some of those heavy downpours now, and this is the area we are most concerned about for major flash flooding as we go through the rest of today, tonight, and into Friday. As we try to wrap up the work week, it looks like the weather will be getting crazy on us. Hopefully we can get this out of here though for your weekend plans. But for now, plan on a high risk for flooding, especially north and east of Houston. Last time that we had that 4 out of 4 high flood risk in the area was September 13, 2021. That was associated with a tropical system. We had Hurricane Nicholas rolling through the area. So that's why we had so much rain at that point. But this isn't even a tropical system, and we're talking about a super high flood risk. This is not really coming at the best time because, of course, we're still dealing with moderate to major flooding along many parts of the Trinity River. In fact, major flooding still occurring right around the Trinity River at Liberty. And look at the river levels expected to rise once again as we go into this weekend. So that is not good news. All of this heavy rain will definitely be triggering more of that river flooding, and we likely will have some streets flooded away from the river flooding due to the fact that we're expecting a ton of rain. All right, our severe storm outlook through tonight will show the highest risk for that severe weather from Houston up to the Woodlands to Conroe and over into Liberty County and back to Belleville, Brenham, and Navasota up towards Bryan and College Station as well. This is the setup today. A ton of moisture streaming in from the southwest. We've got a storm system moving in. We've got plenty of moisture, lift, instability out there in place, and we have enough shear or spin in the atmosphere for a few of these storms to try to rotate. So we've got a lot of weather to get through for this evening and tonight. And notice Futurecast with basically a blanket of rain over the area between 5 to 6 p.m. And we will continue with that high risk for showers and storms, especially 7, 8, 9, 10 p.m. for Houston, and then down around the coast around 10 to 11 p.m. So we're going to be monitoring this flood risk closely, the severe storm threat. I'll have an update on any potential storms out there that may be getting stronger, maybe rotating. I'll have that for you coming up in just a little bit. But for now, let's take it over to the news desk with Caroline and Rashi with more on this severe weather threat.
And as Ramisha was talking about, Huntsville is going to get slammed, and they already are dealing with some flooding.
Yeah, and that's where we're finding Jonathan Mejia. He is in the Huntsville area giving us a look at what's happening there. Wow, right now it looks like a lot of water in that area, Jonathan.
Lots of activity happening here in the Huntsville Riverside area. We've been here all day. I've been here since around 11:30 a.m. and I can just tell you the situation just continues to get worse for residents in this area. When I was here earlier, obviously the rain didn't start falling down because we were expecting it to hit this afternoon, but around 2:30 is when the rain started to fall, and it has not stopped. We've been hearing thunder, we've been seeing lightning, we've been feeling the winds. So I want to pan towards my left. You're going to see this street right over here. You're going to see how it is completely flooded. Now this area has already been hit significant by the rainfall that happened here a couple of weeks ago. So we were out here originally talking to residents about this issue, you know, hours before this rain that's hitting right now would hit this area, which could increase the water level here. Now, as we pan more this way, I want you to take a look at that sign. You probably won't see it here from this vantage point, but it says Green Rich Shores. Now, we've been able to track how the water has risen, because when we got here, it was about 2 to 3 inches below that title there that we see in the Green Rich Shores, but we just continue to see the water level rise. Now, straight ahead, straight behind me, I'm going to take a step away so you can take a look. This entire street completely flooded. I don't know if you are able to make out that black pickup truck, but that is completely underwater, and that has definitely risen, because when we got here we were able to see the tires, but now you're barely making out the tire. And just behind that pickup truck you have homes there where the backyard is completely flooded, the porch completely disgruntled from its foundation. And again, we've been out here all day. We've been speaking with residents who tell me that despite this flooding, despite more water hitting this area, they are choosing to remain to stay here. They are actually calling on the Trinity River Authority to do more. They want them to release the water in the dam so that this water all here can get released, and they will see, you know, receive some relief from the rain and the flooding in this area. But some people, as I said, I spoke with them earlier today, they were out getting groceries. They were stocking up on water, food, because they were expecting to not be able to get in and out of their homes. One resident I spoke with, she tells me, thankfully, to her neighbors, she's been able to get the things that she needs, such as food and water, and they've been able to bring her stuff that she needs. But other residents are using aluminum boats to get around town, or just get around, you know, to and from their homes. So this is the situation we're seeing here, and you're hearing the thunder here right now. It hasn't stopped raining, and more rain is expected to hit into the nightfall.
And Jonathan, I was going to ask you, as you see other people around there, are they concerned about the weather being worse, or what are their plans?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, they are going to stay put. They are aware of what's happening. One resident I spoke with, he tells me he's prepared for the water to rise between 6 to 8 inches, but if it's anything more than that, he says he's worried. He took us inside his home. He took us inside his shed. For him, he's a retired, elderly man, and he says while he may not have a job to get to, a lot of his possessions, which he tells me he has worked hard for, it would be devastating if he loses it. He says he's been living in this area since 1976, and he's been through many floods before, and he says it doesn't compare to what Hurricane Harvey left, but he says a lot of the flooding here is very impacting. Now, again, thankfully he has a shed and he has another property where he's been able to take all his stuff and just continue to move it to higher levels so that he doesn't lose his prized possessions.
Jonathan, how deep would you say that water is where you're standing? Because by the looks of it, I can see a sign behind you, some trees, some roofs. It looks like it's really deep.
Yeah, so right now where we're standing, I mean, it's not too much, but again, if you walk over there, I mean, my boots, I'm 6'3" for reference, and it's reaching just a couple inches below my knee. So I would say anywhere between 3 to 4 inches. And again, the more deeper we go into it, obviously the higher the water levels are.
And Jonathan, I'm glad that you gave that example of the elderly man, because when I was out there in the rain in Conroe, a lot of people said that they didn't want to evacuate because they have pets or they have all of their belongings. So it really is something that is very hard for people to do. Even though there are flood threats, they have things that they need to stay put, and that is understandable. But law enforcement, there's not been any indication of any evacuations, right?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, a lot of people are choosing to stay here. And I did call the Trinity River Authority. We're waiting to get back to hear their response, because a lot of the residents, they're calling on them. They're telling them, you need to release the waters from the dam to be able to streamline this and get this water out of here. Of course, more water is going to fall, and obviously that's going to bring more flooding potential. Mm-hmm. But it is a terrible situation for both sides. That's what residents are telling me. For those who live in this area, but also those who live closer to the dam, just terrible situation as more rain is expected to come. And I've been out here all day. I haven't seen any authorities out here. Just people going on about their day.
Well, Jonathan, and I'm not sure who your camera operator is, but if at any point you guys need to tear down and get in the car for safety, I saw some thunder and lightning, please go. Your safety comes first. But it really is just crazy getting a live look at what's happening in this area. It just reminds you of how dangerous these storms can become here in the greater Houston area.
Yeah, and we'll definitely have more coming up, at Fox 26 at 5. We'll have a full package and a full story that you'll be able to tune into, and we'll post that on fox26houston.com, as well as Fox Local for those who are watching on TV or digital. We'll have a full story so you can hear directly from the residents.
All right, Jonathan, thank you so much for that live report. Now let's take a look at what it's looking like outside. Right now we are taking a live look at Houston TransStar, where you can see right at Beltway 8 and Gulf Bank where it looks like it is raining and people are starting to slow down. What happens, unfortunately, Caroline, during these times, as we've seen, is people get into a lot of accidents because they don't realize that it is going to take them a lot longer to stop.
Yeah.
And they don't realize that someone might be skidding, or they might be skidding themselves. You say skidding, or they skid? Yes,
yeah, it's like you slide or hydroplane.
Right.
And hydroplaning is a very serious problem when it's raining like this, and it can happen, especially if you hit your brakes. And that happens even if you just touch your brakes. It's not like you're speeding and then you slam on your brakes. Like, you can hydroplane with just a little bit of water and just by normally hitting your brakes. So please, please, please drive with extra caution as this rain continues to impact visibility. As you can see there, it is likely impacting visibility because look at how foggy it looks in the distance. The rain is coming down, the roads are wet, traffic moving a little bit slower. Things, seem to be moving okay now, but as this weather worsens and moves on in here, that will not be the case, especially during rush hour. We are coming up on rush hour in just about a half hour, so things are going to get more packed on the roadways. I would just advise, and we've always advised this, especially all the experts, that you want to allow for at least 2 vehicles of distance in front of you. I know I have been driving and I saw a vehicle spin one time when there was rain. No. Yes, and so I'm so glad that I was heeding that warning and I had that space in between, because that car would have hit me while they're spinning out of control. So you really need to be on the lookout, and that really has saved me from a lot of accidents as well, because people stopping all of a sudden, or with their brakes, slamming on their brakes, and you have enough time to make your move so that you're not hitting any vehicles. And just look at this as we're looking at the Sam Houston Beltway 8 at Gulf Bank. We are losing visibility in this camera as we speak. Look at how much more foggy the right side, the right lane there is becoming just in the duration of us talking over this live Houston TransStar picture here. I mean, it is coming down. We now cannot see in the distance. We were able to see in the distance just a couple moments ago. So conditions are worsening as we speak. So you must be careful if you're out there driving. Please, please, please take it slow. Rush hour is upon us. Leave space, like Rashi was saying, in between vehicles, and make sure that you give yourself time to get to where you are going. Also, you need to be aware of the areas that are flooding. I would suggest downloading our Fox 26 News app and or our Fox 26 Weather app. You can get those right in the App Store. This is where you will find push notifications that come right to your phone, so that if something dramatic happens out on the roadways, if a road is shut down, flooded, you name it, you're going to get a push alert about that to know what areas to avoid. Because as you can see, this radar that we are talking about, it is looking bad. And from what I understand from our meteorologist, is it is going to continue to be pretty bad until later tonight. Yes, definitely. And if we want to take any other TransStar camera shot, specifically 422, if we could bring that up, that's 290 Northwest at FM 1960, where you can see there is a lot of traffic. There's a hold up there, obviously, because not just it being rush hour traffic, but also because we are starting to see that ponding on the roadways. Again, we are taking a look at TransStar cameras, and that's what I've been monitoring on Houston TransStar. And I can tell you that the weather is going to definitely make a huge impact. Taking a look here at that camera shot where you can see 290 Northwest Freeway at FM 1960, where it is starting to get very bad with the visibility going down, but people are slowing down. What a lot of folks start to do is go on to the feeder road. And this is kind of the situation that we're dealing with on the northwest side. We do have our meteorologist on standby working hard this hour. I believe that meteorologist Ramisha Shade will be with us in just a second to give us an update on exactly what we are dealing with here. Ramisha, what are things looking like on the radar? How long is this going to last? What do people need to be aware of?
Well, this is likely just the beginning. We're expecting potentially several hours of these rounds of heavy rain. And of course, we've got the severe storm threat. And I've been monitoring one storm in northeastern Grimes County, western portions of Walker County that has been showing a little bit of rotation. I did circle where that rotation was a few minutes ago. It has now shifted a little bit to the south and east, but it is right around the Goshen area, but it is heading towards Huntsville. So if it holds together, it would reach you in Huntsville in about the next 15 to 20 minutes. So no tornado being reported with this just yet. However, we do have the green and the red kind of getting closely wound together, and that does indicate where we do have some stronger rotation in this storm. So we are monitoring that closely, and I do think we have an update on this. It looks like we may have a new warning, and yes, just as I was mentioning, this storm is getting stronger, and it does look like the National Weather Service has now issued a severe thunderstorm warning for this storm. The potential for some 60-mile-per-hour wind gust in this, and the hail size would be likely around 3/4 of an inch to an inch. So the main reason this was issued was for the 60-mile-per-hour wind gust, but we also still have a little bit of rotation in this, although we're not thinking that it's strong enough to be producing a tornado right now. But we've got a cluster of strong storms located just to the west of Huntsville, about 11 miles west of Huntsville, moving east now, picking up speed around 50 miles per hour. So 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts will be possible in this. So this is our strongest storm, and this is a new severe thunderstorm warning. This is going to be for southwestern Trinity County, central Grimes County, also for northwestern Montgomery County, northwestern San Jacinto County, eastern Madison County, and Walker County in southeast Texas. So we've got the estimated wind speeds on here, and it looks like we're not dealing with a ton of wind, at least what we're showing right now. But we are still in our storm relative velocity mode. If we could switch over to base velocity and kind of get an estimate of those winds. And it looks like we do have some stronger winds showing up. This is going to be just to the south and west of Huntsville, near Goshen, Galilee, and getting close to Pine Hill and the city of Huntsville. So check this out. This is the area of concern. We've got wind gusts now showing up anywhere from 55 to 66 miles per hour. So severe wind inside of a storm will be anything from 58 miles per hour or stronger. So this is definitely severe wind showing up, and this is headed towards you if you live in the city of Huntsville. So you need to prepare over the next 10 to 15 minutes for the potential for that damaging wind and very heavy rain coming right into the city of Huntsville. Also, we've got the threat for hail. And at this point, as we look inside of this storm with our Fox Red radar, looking at our hail detector, it looks like that hail size would be right around 1 inch. So we've got two different hail cores heading towards the Huntsville area. So likely quarter size hail at this point. But if this storm gets stronger, we're talking about the potential for maybe ping pong ball size hail or even golf ball size hail if it does get a little bit stronger and that hail does grow closer to 2 inches. So not only do we have a little rotation in this, we've got the threat for hail, and we have the potential for maybe a brief tornado, but no tornado warning right now. This is a severe thunderstorm warning. We just got info that we now have a flash flood warning for this area. So all of that heavy rain starting to produce some problems. You can see where this flash flood warning is located, and this is going to be right around the Bryan College Station area. Check this out. Just over the last couple of hours, we've already picked up 2 to 3 inches of rain, and this is from that storm that's just been sitting over Bryan College Station, dumping a lot of heavy rain in a very short period of time. So this is what we were concerned about, that we will start to get these waves of very heavy rain moving in, and yes, now we're starting to see some major issues with flash flooding. You may be thinking, what is a flash flood warning? Well, that is a serious, potentially life-threatening situation. So if you are under this flash flood warning in Bryan College Station, you certainly need to be avoiding any flooded areas. You need to try to get to higher ground. Make sure you're not driving across any barricaded roads, any flooded roads, because you could put yourself in a life-threatening situation. So you certainly don't want to do that. Rainfall rates. We've got rainfall rates here showing up almost 3 inches per hour close to College Station, in between College Station and Huntsville. So it's not going to take much time for us to get major flooding issues when you have rain coming down that fast and that furious. So this is the area of concern right now. Switching back to reflectivity mode, a ton of heavy rain extending from College Station up towards Madisonville, back towards Huntsville, Trinity, you're getting in on that heavy rain. And of course, you certainly don't need it in Livingston with all of the flooding issues that you've had recently. We've got some super heavy rain right over you now. We also have that severe thunderstorm warning for that cell heading towards the city of Huntsville. Now, don't want to leave you out in Houston, downtown Houston, pretty quiet right now, but we do have a storm that is just to the north of Cypress, right over Tomball, Spring, and starting to get very close to the Woodlands. So this one is not considered severe, but it is getting a little bit stronger, and whether it becomes severe or not, you're going to get some very heavy rain from it, likely hail size around a ½ inch, maybe up to 3/4 of an inch, and maybe some wind around 40 to 45 miles per hour. So this is pushing into Stagecoach right now, Creekside Park in about 1 minute, Grogan's Mill, if you are located there, in just a couple of minutes, 2 to 3 minutes. The Woodlands, this storm should reach you in about 4 minutes. So plan on some heavy downpours, maybe a little bit of small hail, and the threat for that wind around 40 to 45 miles per hour. Indian Springs, it should reach you in about 5 minutes. Panther Creek, 5 minutes. Town Center in about 5 minutes. And Oak Ridge North in about 5 minutes. So once again, this is not a tornado warning. This is not a severe thunderstorm warning. It's just a cell that we are monitoring. It's going to bring you the threat for some small hail and some very heavy rain that will be disruptive to your evening drive. Maybe you're trying to pick your kids up from school. Maybe you're trying to head to the grocery store, get some things ready for dinner. You're going to run into some very wet roads, and it will be very slow down there. So certainly keep that in mind and just try to stay at home, stay at work, wait it out until these strong storms and this heavy rain passes. All right, I want to take you back up to where we do have our severe thunderstorm warning for Walker County. It includes the city of Huntsville. This is going to be through 5 p.m. Time right now it's 4:26. So this severe thunderstorm warning out for about another 34 minutes or so. We are monitoring a couple of areas in this storm where we do have some stronger wind and a little bit of rotation showing up. So we will continue to monitor that, but at this point, plan on the potential for some 50, 60 mile per hour wind gusts heading towards the Huntsville area, and also the threat for that large hail and possibly some strong, damaging straight line wind. Of course, we do have the little bit of rotation, but we could also have the 60 mile per hour straight line damaging wind that could cause power outages, could knock tree limbs down. We've seen trees uprooted in this type of wind. So just certainly try to stay indoors, wait this out. If you are in Huntsville, you don't want to be out in this type of rowdy weather. This is a wider view of what's going on. As expected, the heaviest bands of rain are setting up shop in the northern fringes of our area, stretching from Livingston up to Trinity, down to Huntsville, back to College Station and Bryan. We're starting to get the heavy downpours starting to push into parts of Montgomery County, the Woodlands, starting to roll into your area. But thankfully right now, downtown Houston looking pretty quiet. Just a few light rain showers close by over towards Mission Bend, Sugarland, Fulshire, Katy, just some light to moderate rain going on, but nothing strong or severe. So yes, you are under that tornado watch until 10 p.m. The majority of the area under that tornado watch until 10 p.m. However, no tornado warnings at this time. The worst of the weather right now continues to be north of Houston. Like I said, the northern portion of our viewing area, where we do have this severe thunderstorm warning and the threat for 1 to 1.5 inch hail now showing up in these hail cores. This is getting closer to you in Huntsville. So that would be quarter to ping pong ball size hail, not quite golf ball size, but getting closer to that. And that is certainly not something you want hitting yourself. You don't want it hitting your car either. So if you are in Huntsville and still ahead of this storm, try to get that car into a garage, maybe covered parking, whatever you can do to try to protect it from those dents. And you want to protect yourself as well. So if you don't have to be out there, just make sure that you stay inside and stay safe until this storm passes. So the worst of the weather heading towards Huntsville, flooding going on around Bryan College Station, flash flood warning. I'll have much more on what you can expect for the rest of this evening. We are tracking these storms. So right now we are going to continue to monitor this, and we will be back, of course, at 5 p.m. for our newscast, and I'll have the latest on our severe weather threat as we go through this evening and tonight. I'm Fox 26 meteorologist Ramisha Shade. Stay safe out there.
All right. Ramisha, thank you so much. Well, I know that the weather is only going to be getting worse for a lot of people.
Yeah, so make sure that you stay tuned for Fox 26 News at 5. We will have crews live all over the place. Our meteorologists are keeping tabs on the storm. Make sure to have your phone's alerts turned on if you have the Fox 26 News app or the Fox 26 Weather app. That way we can alert you right away if there's areas that you need to avoid. Please take it slow on your way home and make sure to stay tuned to Fox 26 for the latest.